Hi, everybody. This is Carolyn, Laura,
Hi,
and
Rich.
we're here for our third installment of our virtual tastings in quarantine. This is the birthday tasting. It was my birthday over the weekend, so I'm calling it the paella tasting because Rich made me a paella yesterday
We're
for
having
my
a lot of
birthday.
fun doing this, but we're really looking forward to being able to taste and kibitz with you guys at the store very
Yeah,
soon. As soon as they let us,
yeah, really.
pretty much as soon as they let restaurants do indoor
Is that
seating.
when we'll
I
do it?
think
Okay, good.
probably
Because I
phase
was wondering
three.
about that. Yeah,
Phase three should come soon.
yeah, I was
We hope.
wondering about that. We really want to. We miss you all terribly. I do, however, want to thank you for this great gift I got this year of like some of you sending me birthday greetings. I always say you're my friends and you sent me greetings. So thank you so much. I have been told, however, that I have to focus for tonight because it is almost 10 o'clock at night and we are both hungry. So to get on with it, we decided to do all Spanish wines in honor of Rich's Spanish heritage and also our paella and our love of Spain. We chose three to taste tonight. My very favorite that I've
Three from
often
a
spoken about
pretty big
before.
list of featured wines this week.
Yes, which we'll go through when we're finished. But right now, my favorite wine of all time, Llopart. Well, apart from La Colla
And
07
and the
Cab, but
Clio.
that's not good. And the Clio.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mentioned that I wished that we were doing the Clio tonight. Yeah, we're not.
Mhm.
Okay, he didn't get me the Clio.
So we're starting with bubbly is good is always a good idea.
It's always a good
Especially at
idea.
the beginning of things. So we're
Yeah,
starting
and
with
the
one of our
end.
favorite bubblies
Yeah.
called Yopart.
This is the Yo part. It is Monastral, Grenache, and La
A
Pinot
little Pinot
Noir.
Noir, yep.
Pinot Noir. Yo
So
part,
it's made like a
yeah,
champagne, but they
yes,
use
champagne method.
indigenous grapes from the Penedès region.
Mm-hmm. And what I found out today about the background of Yo part, if you want to while you're
Yeah.
pouring, I can talk about it, is that the Llopart winery has been in existence since the 1300s. Same family owning it, doing all the same things. They did start out growing grapes and olives and wheat and went over to grapes exclusively in maybe the 18th century. And then in the 1950s went to Caba's big time. But I was just thinking that they were in existence making wine before the 15th century Renaissance, the Great Renaissance, when Michelangelo was around and Da Vinci. They were already making wine. And I think that is like one of the most incredibly phenomenal things in the world. So just thought I'd tell you that.
I just wanted to fill you in on some new cava news. So for those of you that don't know, Spanish cava is Spain's answer to champagne, and cava is a DO within which all of the sparkling wines are made. Um, so in recent news, the smaller quality producers that practice organic or certified hand harvest everything, um, and make basically minuscule quantities of very high quality wine, cavas or sparkling wines. Wanted some distinction. Wanted to elevate the category, which is dominated by like three huge commercial brands of bubbly, which you probably have heard of. They make most of the 253 million, 300 million bottles of cava that's made every year. So Yopart is one of them. If you
Yeah.
look at the bottom, it says Corpinat. You'll see that on the wines of 9 cava producers, or Spanish sparkling wine producers, and they're basically a consortium, an association of growers, of quality growers. The name comes from a contraction that pretty much means the heart of Penedès. So it's sort of like the Black Rooster in Italy, in Chianti, but they have very strict standards. All their wines have to meet these standards, not just their special cuvées. They have to be all organically produced, hand harvested, aged a minimum amount of 18 months in bottle. If you know anything about things that are made champagne method or champagne traditionnel, as these are, whether it's champagne or cava, the age in the bottle just is so important to the quality of the product.
If I may, can I interrupt for a minute? I just wanted to say this is aged on lease for 20 months. almost 2 years,
So well
20
above the
months.
minimum, yeah.
Yeah, so
Well
that's
above the minimum.
yeah, well above the minimum, and it shows beautifully. Notable about this is that in 2019, this was chosen as one of Wine Spectator's top 100 wines in the world. It was actually number 51. First of all, for a bubbly to get in there is a big deal. There was only one other bubbly, which is a name that I've forgotten, and to be a Spanish bubbly or a cava is really, really, I think, noteworthy.
Yeah.
So, and we all know it's my favorite wine, so I would put it up a little bit higher.
And we like to talk about food pairings, but for us, this goes with
Everything.
everything and nothing. So this should really appeal to the Buddhists.
Llopart is just incredible.
Yeah.
It's really incredible.
Okay.
I love it. And successful.
So let's taste.
Let's taste it.
So what do you think of the color?
I love it. It's nice peach sort of.
I get a white grapefruit juice kind of.
I know, we were talking about that before. I'm not getting
you don't see that.
I'm not getting the grapefruit, but I'm definitely a peach sorbet, nice soft. Oh, so lovely. It's really sweet.
Yeah, the method is champagne, but the because of the grapes they use and the way it turns out, it's definitely a distinctly Spanish product.
Yes.
There are other cavas that there are other sparkling wines from outside of Champagne that will remind you more of a fine rosé champagne, but this is just too big and bold to really be reminiscent of a fine French
rosé.
rosé.
A little bit. Look, you see a little bit there.
On the nose, I get mainly a hit of strawberry. After sitting open a little and warming up a little, the nose is coming out more.
Bertrand's rule: don't chill your wines.
Yeah, don't chill the wines when you're tasting them. Yeah, you get the
this
strawberry up front, but I get like a little razor's edge of lemon lime.
Yeah, lemon lime, definitely. I'm getting that, but in a very soft way. There's nothing it's nothing overly tart. You think lemon lime, and you're thinking of the tartest Sauv Blancs in the world.
That bottle age for sparkling
very
wines
soft.
Attenuates the acidity, mellows it out. And it makes the bead finer and the mousse finer.
If you consider with the lemon lime a sort of creamy aspect to it, or a creamy lemon lime, that I think gives it. I think that's sort of.
And you get a hint that Monastrell and Grenache is so big and bold, but you get a hint of the toastiness of a little of that lees contact, which gives it some balance and some depth.
Yeah.
And as always, it's got it's got a lively, fresh, but a lengthy finish.
It's nice. It's major.
I say it over and over. The difference between a really fine wine and an okay wine. A really great wine has got to have a nice, long finish. You get wines that taste great up front, and they just fall off the cliff. They just disappear. Yeah. There's just no finish to it.
Yeah.
But okay. Definitely like that
lovely.
one.
Just about Llopart, I always think of Llopart it's just Llopart. They don't do anything else. The winery does do other things. They have a slew of other cavas, and there's a couple that, now that I've seen them, I want Rich to get for me to taste. And they do have 3 still wines. The 3 still wines are comprised mostly of Girello. So they're going to be really, really sweet. So I'm not going to try to get any of those, but I will definitely try to get some more of the bubblies, of the cavas, because I'm interested. I think it'll be fun. Okay, so.
So this is definitely a good way to start a tasting.
Yes.
That's the Llopart. Okay.
Oh, can I say something about Mourvedre?
Of course.
Okay, it's just a little thing. While I was looking at Mourvedre, I was trying to find a little bit about it, because, it's Monastrell in France, is Mourvedre, and it's Mataro in Australia and California, where there are small plantings of it. The real home of Mourvedre or Monastrell is in Spain. There's a lot of it in France, but Spain is really where it started, according to Jancis, the wine, my personal wine guru. And even though I don't know how to pronounce her name, but my wine guru. She has a story that it can be very, very, very smelly. Mourvedre could be very smelly. So you have things like Mourvedre goes into a lot of the rosés. Domaine Tempier, Bandol, any of those great rosés of Mourvedre. And they can taste, if they're not done right, they can taste like rotten eggs. And the way that you can fix this is to simply drop a copper coin into the glass while the wine's in the glass, and it will take care of it.
Don't try this at home, kids.
Don't try it at home. But I just think it's the coolest thing. It's like, oh, I'll just drop. It's sort of like Monty Python-ish. You know, like I'll just drop a little coin in the glass and I'll fix it all. So now that I'm done with that little part, we are going to go on to our second wine, which is another personal favorite.
The Bodegas Avancia. Years ago, you know, Rioja was the only wine of Spain. People were familiar with that and Cava. But real innovative importers have changed all that, and we're bringing in wines from regions and grape varieties that some of which almost went extinct, but have come back and, you know, become mainstays. So our next wine is from northwest Spain, a region overall, you know, the region of Gallego.
Oh, honey, I can't pronounce that. I'm so
Where the
sorry.
Gallegos
You're Spanish,
live.
babe. You're Spanish.
Okay.
I can say a little bit about it, though. They do practice dry farming. It's very slate, quartzy kinds of soil, so the vines have to really
Galicia.
go down. Very Galicia.
Darn. Rain
So,
fart.
so the vines have to go down very, very far to find water. For that reason, they are quite sturdy.
Yeah.
Very steady, consistent yields because, you know, they don't have to wait for the water.
You'll find all the producers.
A lot of sloping land.
Are, you know, especially these three. Their wines are generally generally dry farmed, no irrigation, hand harvested. Old vines. Spain is great because it's got a lot of old vines
50
around.
to 80-year-old vines. Yeah. Remember Mercedes, our friends? Remember Mercedes who would come in and talk about her wines? She'd always go into how old the vines were in Spain. So another reason why I love this wine.
Yeah, we're going to be tasting Grenache later, and like Spain is the home office of Grenache, and you know, ancient vines and Spanish Grenache are just so common. But we're up in the northwest corner of Spain. Overall region is Galicia. I can't remember that. But Rias Baixas is the coastal area where Albarino dominates, and then you go further inland. This is a beautiful area along the Sil River called Valdeorras. In ancient times, the Romans mined gold there, and Valdeorras roughly translates to the Valley of Gold in Latin.
Yeah.
But this was kind of a forgotten region. The main grapes are Godello for the whites and Mencia for the reds. And some years ago, 70s or 80s, Ordonez started, 80s, because that's when Ordonez started cultivating, restoring, and bringing in Godello and Mencia from that region. For many years, he was the only person importing
Can I
Godello.
talk about that after you're done?
Sure.
Talk about Godello a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, Godello was like an ugly stepchild for a very, very, very long time. And they started, it was grown in Spain, obviously. And it's really neat because Jancis again, I can't say her name. Jancis has spoken about Godello saying that it, quote, combines the structure of white Burgundy, which is Chardonnay, with the finesse of a juicily mineral grape. Okay, she said that. Now Asimov, who went over to Spain in 2012 to taste some Godello when it started being planted really a lot, he said at that time it had much in common with Chardonnay, its neutrality and its chameleon-like lean and vibrant to dense and rich qualities that it took on. And remember Willie Gluckstern, who we were talking about last time? Mm-hmm. He said about Chardonnay, which Godello is being compared to in 2012 as just being a horrible thing. And thank heaven for Chablis, because it really saves French wines. So after that, after it was becoming more thickly planted, after, of course, Ordonez and people like that started planting it, Asimov went back in 2016 with some friends or I guess other brilliant people who are not me, and said that he found the Godello to be far better textured, a lot more floral notes. He considered it more like Chenin Blanc than did he like Chardonnay, and that he thought there was a great sense of minerality in it. And of course, in a lot of these wines, there's going to be minerality because they're grown in like shale and schist and quartz, so you're going to get your great minerals there. And one of the people who was with him likened it to Viognier, and I totally disagree with that because we all know I love Viognier, and said that it's really a cross between Chenin Blanc and Marsanne. And just for no reason at all, except that it's my birthday, so I can say this, I really wish I could ever be brilliant enough to decide that a wine is a cross between
Godello is believed to
Chenin
be a
and
cross?
Marsanne. No. When I'm so sorry.
That's its
When these
characteristics?
people, when Asimov and a couple of his similarly brilliant people went over to taste it again in 2016, one of the tasters, and I apologize for not noting the name, said that it was like a cross between a Chenin Blanc and a Marsanne.
Yeah, because I'm
Godello.
curious about where these grapes come from, like Godello
Yeah.
and Albarino, because they were probably originally northern, northern varieties,
Yeah.
Northern European varieties brought down by the Celts when they hit the northwest coast of Spain for various nefarious reasons.
Although they said that Mourvedre, that started in Spain.
And Grenache.
Yeah. So
yeah, another big deal writer, Robert Parker, says he loves Godello and considers it one of Spain's finest indigenous white grapes.
Yeah, it's a beautiful.
Likes it. He's more people are familiar with Albarino, but he seems to like Godello better. Compares it a little to the texture of Chardonnay, but with a crisp mineral and floral note in its aromatics. So, and he says Avancia is one of the top producers.
But he again mentions that Chardonnay aspect. I didn't get Chardonnay out of it.
No, me neither. A touch of hazelnut.
Yeah, there was hazelnut.
Touch of tree fruit, but I don't get a Chardonnay profile.
Feel out of it. It could be that this one may just be really good.
Oh, you want to taste the wine and see what you think? Okay. So this is done dry farmed, hand harvested Godello, 100% Godello, 20 mostly fermented in 80% in stainless steel, 20% in large used French oak puncheons or demi-moods. They're 500 to 600 liters. And it gets 18 months sur lie on the lees contact. That means they leave the lees in the bottom of the tanks and the barrels, and they do some bâtonnage, which is a stirring of the lees, which gives the wine, it kind of gives the wine a lot of fleshiness and a lot of texture, and
aerates it
and aerates it
to
a
get
little
rid
bit.
of any smells. So it can also smell.
But when you're not using a lot of oak, that lees contact and that bâtonnage really gives the wine some richness, and especially like if you don't use a lot of mallow, that lees gives it like some buttery kind of qualities too.
Yeah. First of all, what comes up with this, and what I was trying to show, is beautiful, beautiful straw color to it that it has. It's not quite. Well, it's cool. A little darker here. Yeah, just there you go.
Show them what they got.
Well, I have white. A bunch to do to get some white. So, nice,
it's interesting
beautiful.
how these wines, the profiles change a little since we tasted them before.
Yeah, like only maybe a half hour ago we had a little taste of them.
They're getting a little warmer. They're opening up a little bit. But I'm getting, before I got the stone fruit and the tree fruit, the pear and the peach right up front, and then a little spice in the background, a little white flower in the background, a little ginger, but now that background is kind of coming forward. But I'd say that tree fruit and stone fruit is still kind of up front. It's a lot riper on the nose than any kind of French Chardonnays would be.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It definitely has the floral.
You know what though?
Character.
You know that thing they keep saying about the white Burg and the Chardonnay? You know how white Burgundy, and this does not have that kind of lemon meringue thing that white Burgundy has, but that sort of...
No, I don't get lemon from it.
No lemon, but that meringue, creamy kind of lift thing. I'm feeling that, and it tastes a little bit, so that might be where we're getting it. Okay, and we're going to be doing this quick because I'm taking too long.
But again, it has a nice long finish. Echoes that pear and peach. And that minerality definitely kicks into.
Pear, peach, great minerals. Beautiful minerals in these wines. And again, in the nice way, this is a beautifully balanced wine.
Yeah. And these are real
really
bargains.
Is.
The Llopart is in the mid-20s, $25, $26 for
The
Or you spent
Avancia
the
is
traditional.
$18.
The Avancia
On sale is $18.
17.
17 rather. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for
groovy.
one of the best producers of Godello.
Yeah, and
Um,
it is really beautiful. It's a great wine. We love it.
For
Okay.
pairings, I like this with a mild cheese, mild soft cheese, pears, chicken or pork dishes. For the Llopart, I like it with everything, nothing, and probably the leftover paella that we're going to eat in about 5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, I would say that this is almond and hazelnut. Great with food. It's going to pair pretty much with anything except like big red steaks. But you're not going to do away with a great big red steak. So. All right, let's move on.
So that's the Avancia Godello Cuvée de Eau.
Really
there's a nice shot of the Sill River. Beautiful area.
Really and great with popcorn. If you're a popcorn person. Okay, now we're going to be moving on to our only red. It's not the Clio. Sorry.
But I'm glad we tried it. We've had Clio so many times.
We have. And I like this one. It's a younger, it feels young, it's very bright, but has a great depth to it. A beautifully created wine. Mas Doix, La Crestas?
Las Crestas, yeah.
Priorat. Okay, it's a combination of Grenache, about 70%, Carignan and Syrah, 20-year-old vine, so it is a little bit younger. It is aged for 8 months in French oak. It's 14.5% alcohol, so it's a little hefty there with the alcohol, but it's cool. The winery is a 5th-generation family-owned winery, which seems really old unless you start thinking back to Llopart in the 1300s, and then everything's kind of new.
Yeah.
It's by the Mont Mountains and
Can you say something about the winery?
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, the winery, the vineyards were established by Juan Extrems Doix in the 1850s, pre-phylloxera, and they went through phylloxera. They had a long history. The vineyards were used for grapes were sold to co-ops. But in 1998, the current Doix family and the Llagostera families joined forces, acquired these old vineyards. Old, and in this case, this is the affordable, younger vineyard, Priorat, and started making wines from these great sites. Just a couple things about Priorat. So, typical of Priorat, a lot of it is traditionally planted to Grenache. So, they tend to be blends, but there's always some old vines Grenache in it. And most of the grapes are grown on these really steeply terraced slopes. On the sides of the Mont Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
The slopes are the soil is mainly what they call licorella. It's a blue slate, this jumble of blue slate with some organic material in it. But that slate gives it this mineral hit that's very unique to Priorat.
Yeah.
Priorat's gotten really hot in the last few decades, and the region is fairly small, so Priorat wines can be quite expensive. This one is very reasonable, and again, like the low 20s,
yep,
23, 20s, I think.
Yeah, $25.19 on sale.
25 on sale. Yep.
Organic and a female winemaker.
This got a 93 from Gutierrez at Wine Advocate, so consistently, and this is like their entry level wine. So just a tip on for people that like Priorat. If you like Priorat wines, but you find them too expensive, or you want to try to find a less expensive alternative, look for the Mont Saint appellation, because those mountains kind of wrap around Priorat. It's a much larger region, similar terroirs, similar grape varieties, similar winemaking. So you'll get the style of Priorat, often for very reasonable prices. So
good.
Let's see what we got.
Yeah, the nose is glorious.
Yeah, wow, this is really
Isn't it?
Opened up.
It has opened up so beautifully.
Yeah, it's kind of paradoxical. It's fresh and lively, but it's got this depth. Like the color on it. It's I'm sorry, I see like a opaque purple center, and then the edges remind me of like the color of a black cherry, which isn't exactly opaque, but it's dark.
Well, yeah, it's dark. Look at that.
But the Grenache in it tastes like young and vibrant.
It's beautiful. It's like it's like dark cherries. It's so glorious.
and it has a warmth to it. It's really, so on the nose, I get a lot of black cherry, blueberry, definitely some clove and licorice, and it's bright, but that minerality from the slate kicks in,
Oh, it's really
and
nice.
it's got such depth to it.
It's got, on the nose, it's like sort of a burgundy kind of nose, but
Yeah.
now it's a lot beefier.
This
It's got some
this
beef
is the
there.
2016, and it's been out for like a year or two, and it's
beautiful, yeah.
definitely a step.
It's definitely got
gone-
some beef
gone
on
up
that nose, so you can like knock this up with some pot roast, some steak,
Mhm.
no problem. What I love about it though is if you let it sit for a minute on your palate, it just brings up this beautiful toffee caramel kind of quality, which I don't see a lot in reds. And just this really nice black cherry. And the black cherry is up front on the palate, and it sort of stays there throughout the experience, throughout the finish. And it's not like a huge black cherry. It's not like a California kind of black cherry. It's very elegant, very understated, but it does exist there. And it just adds this beautiful, sweet, but not saccharinely sweet quality to it. It's really, I was prepared not to like this because it's not the Clio. But I'll tell you, this is one really, really
This
nice
is really
wine.
nice.
Oh, it's beautiful. And
Yeah.
it's getting better since it's been open. So remember that if you get
Yeah,
it.
I think we mainly have 2016 on hand. So, if you can grab some of the 2016, I would, because a year or two ago, this was much more closed. It wasn't showing as well as it is now, but now it's just beautiful. I think I tasted it last.
And at the same
year.
time, it's so bright. It's bright. It's accessible. This is a great wine for a family dinner where you have some people who really like wines, and you have some people who are like, yeah, I sort of like red, but I don't know, because the people who really like the wines and like the older ones be like, oh, I can taste this and that, and yet the people who don't will be able to say, oh, it just tastes good. It tastes like black cherry. I think I like it. So it's really, I think it's a crowd pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
I'm crowd of two, and we like it. So
Yeah.
really. Okay. So
Let's.
those were our 3 wines. Okay, I'm going to move this along right now. I thought this was going to be 15 minutes long. I'm such a dork. Okay, so these were the wines we chose. I'm going to go quickly through the featured wines to give you an idea of them. They are going to be on feature. They're going to be featured for the next
Rest of the week.
Rest of the week. So the next
If
2
Dad's
wines.
a wine guy,
if you're on,
get him some nice wines for Father's Day.
Hey, if your dad's a wine guy, get him this one. If he's a barbecue guy.
Or the Clio.
Yeah, well, definitely
or the
the
Venus del
Clio.
Senate.
But this one, yeah, if he's a barbecue guy, that'll be great. Okay, so I was talking about Mercedes, our wonderful rep for so many years, and we have featured both the Naya and the Nora. The Naya is a white wine, and the Nora is a white Albarino wine. And I remember Mercedes presenting them at the store, and that's why they're special to me. Again, Las Crestas. We have the Rios Braxis, which is a white wine. The Clio. Monastral and Cabernet Sauvignon, and
yeah, we have a
really
few cases of Clio on hand, and that's always a crowd pleaser. That always knocks everyone's socks off.
gorgeous. It's just so beautiful. The Senate,
Venus del Senate.
yes, that's a Tempranillo. Tempranillos
That's another
are wildly
big monster
popular.
red.
We also have
It's from Toro, where they have old pre-phylloxera vines, drinking great.
And the Lastana
is a great
is
value
Rioja.
Rioja Reserva.
Also Tempranillo.
The 2014. Yep, nice Tempranillo.
Okay, we have 2 bubbly. Well, we have 3. No, we have 2 bubblies. We have the Raventos Blanc, which is a cava, very nice, and of course the Llopart.
Raventos is another old cava house.
Mm-hmm.
Small production cava house. They apparently wrote the cava rules.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so they gave the cava rules to Queen Isabella, in the 1400s.
I love that.
They were commissioned to do the cava rules.
And they were making wine, and they have queens and inquisitions and everything. Whatever. Okay, as I said, Las Crestas has a female winemaker who's also a family member, and now we're coming to the Paris Balto wines. I love the Paris Balto wines anyway, but what I also love about them is that there are 2 female winemakers in the family as well. I think they both
and they are
I'm not sure.
organic.
Super organic.
Most of these producers are all organic or certified organic, but these guys have no added sulfites, totally biodynamic.
Yeah, and their wines are beautiful. They really are. So give them a look.
Yeah, the Paris Balto wines are from the Penedès region. So the white is a still white, but it's made with the grapes that they use in cavas.
Yeah, and that's made with the Xarello?
Yeah, mainly Girello and some Sauvignon
And
Blanc.
Sauv Blanc. And then the red is made with,
I think it's mainly Cab and Merlot.
yeah, Cab Merlot and Cab Franc, which is another of my favorites.
Yeah, the Masolena.
And then as an extra little bonus, we have 2 Basque wines. We have the Jamin.
Chaumin?
Jamin. We have the rosé, which we have every year. Really nice rosé, a little livelier, like the Spanish. I think I've spoken about this before. And also a white. They're all available at the store on special, and they're all great. And thank you so much for coming to my birthday tasting.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. We love you all, and we can't wait to see you again at a real tasting. Say hi to us when you come in the store, or leave comments. It would be great. Tell your friends. Bye-bye.
Okay.